All right, so I'm going to walk through how to set up OneSource. First thing you need to do is install the .NET 3.5 framework or whatever it's called, and I put that in the doc, the method that I choose to do it. So now we're going to install SQL, and this is probably one of the most important parts. There's a couple details within here that if you don't do it right, it's not gonna work right. I grabbed this stuff off of TechRec and put it on here. The main things you need is the licenses for your building, or the license for your building, the OneSource for 2021, which is the version we're using, and then this is SQL 2014. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. Yes. I'm just going to, on the desktop, that's fine. Or in this folder, whatever. And then you're going to do a new standalone. Accept. Next. Update. Here's one of the things that you need to check. All this stuff needs to be checked, but this also, which by default is not. You can just leave all this stuff default. Here, it doesn't really matter if you change the name, but they suggested doing this, SQL OneSource. Again, it doesn't really matter. It's just the name of the database, which nobody's really ever going to see, but that way, if they ever have to remove it, then they'll at least know. The other thing you need to do here is change this to automatic. And here's the big one. This cannot be Windows authenticated. It needs to be mixed mode, and it needs to use the SA account. So if you're familiar with SQL at all, there's a SA account, which means system administrator. And basically, when you're setting up here on this screen, you're setting the password for that system administrator. I'm going to use our password for it. And then you also need to add system, and you need to add everyone. So those two things need to be in there too. So this feature isn't actually used, but you want to make sure that you put it on install only, because you don't really want to have to worry about configuring it, because we don't use it anyways. And then now it's going to go through the full installation. This will probably take some time, so I'm going to go ahead and let it do its thing and complete, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it gets done, and then move on to the next step. All right, so when you get done, it's going to look like this. So you go through and you make sure everything succeeded, and it looks like it did. It should be done there. So now we are going to go ahead and run OneSource. Right click here, run as administrator. always click no here. Click yes, I think that means you're setting up a host server, which you're not. You're only doing a line, and then it speaks out to our food serve server. This information doesn't really matter. You just have to have something in here. I just put my name, organization. Then here it's going to ask you for the license file, which I put in this folder on the desktop. And this is Reading, so I'll pick this one. I'll leave all this checked. Blank database. Next. Next. For here, we're going to put backslash SQL OneSource, which is the when we were installing SQL, that was the name of the database. SA, and then we'll supply the password. Remote server is going to be food serve and 1001. I think you can use the IP address there, but it seems to work better when you use the server name. Alright, so this one looks like when it's done. You click finish. And then I think it's going to go in and install the update manager, if I remember correctly. And yep, you want to pull the updates from the server. And click finish. And then apparently it's going to restart. Alright, so the computer restarted, and I think we're all set up here. Some things that you need to check before you boot up OneSource is you need to go into services and make sure that all the services are running. First ones you want to check is the Horizon services. You should see two: Horizon Communications, Horizon Update Manager, and then you also want to double check that the SQL server is running. And then on reporting services doesn't matter, browser doesn't matter. Pretty sure on this one you need to go in and change this to a local file services to yeah, so log on, change it to local, and then do that. So all the services are running, which is good. So now we're ready to launch OneSource. See what happens. All right, so we didn't get any errors, so that was good. I ran a test communication over there, and it didn't like it. Yeah, it does not like that thing. So I don't think it really matters. So it grabs the configuration that you set up during the installation, so that's good. And then you need to initialize the system. This could take a while. It didn't take too long on mine. It maybe took maybe 5-10 minutes, but the lady said that it could take up to 30 minutes, 3 hours. It all just depends on the size of your building. Alright, so too bad. The system has been successfully initialized. Alright, now that it's done initializing, you can go ahead. It should probably be with this box. There is a password for this somewhere, but I'm not 100% sure what it is. I got it to work once. Don't know why it's not working now. But anyways, I know Bonnie's, so I'm going to log in to hers just to double check. Make sure you get Reading Elementary up here, and then you want to go to System and Communications, and Communication Setup, and make sure that all of this looks like it's working properly.